afternoon and welcome to AM News Network presents Summary Judgment Talk Show. I'm attorney Rachel Baird. I'm joined by Ed Peruta. I almost forgot who he was. My legal investigator, president of American News and Information Services. We're transmitting live on a Sunday afternoon, which is our new time for the next couple months, while we're busy otherwise taking a real estate class on Saturday. Good afternoon, Ed.
Afternoon.
So we read a case that came out this week, very interesting, out of the District of Connecticut, having to do with a motor vehicle stop and a pistol permit, and whether having a pistol permit is enough for a police officer to detain you, handcuff you, put you in the back of his car while he determines whether that permit is valid or not. Which seems like the answer to that seems obvious to me. But unfortunately, I didn't have faith that the courts thought it was obvious until a decision came out this week, which we're very pleased with. And I don't think all judges would necessarily agree with this decision.
Was this a state case or a federal case?
It's a federal case,
Okay.
the District Court, Trial Court in Connecticut, Judge
Okay.
Arterton.
Now, it's still got to make it through the Second Circuit, round one with 3 judges, and then if it sticks, they got to make it through the en banc Second Circuit. That's the second bite that they get at the apple.
Mhm.
And if it fails there, then it has to be taken up by the Supreme Court. Am I correct?
Right. This is what I predict will happen, though. This was a decision on a motion for summary judgment, meaning the defendants, the city of Waterbury. It was a Waterbury police officer that did this. The city of Waterbury, now that it made it past the summary judgment stage, they're probably going to settle. Because really, what are the damages in this case?
They don't want a written decision.
They don't want a trial. That's what's next is a trial. And what are the damages you're going to argue to a jury?
$1.
Right. And
But what are the ramifications of a court decision saying you can't do this?
right, but I predict this is going to settle like the Michael Picard case, probably for $50,000, $75,000, something like that.
Yep.
And why not? This gentleman probably could use the money, right? He's not, and I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure he's not paying his attorney, that his attorney's operating on a contingency fee basis. So if they choose to go onward, the attorney's going to be working with no resources, no money, and there's a chance they could lose and he could end up with nothing. So that's just the reality of litigation, that this case is probably going to settle within the next couple months.
Well, I'm glad that a judge has agreed with our theory, okay?
What, that a government identification is valid?
No. That
Well, that's basically
the
what it all comes down
type
to.
of government identification justifies handcuffing you, searching your person, searching your car, and do whatever.
Right, if you have a gun permit in Connecticut, previous this decision maybe, although the judge did not give the police officer qualified immunity, which means the judge says this police officer should have known better. A reasonable police officer would not have done this because they would have known that it violates the Constitution.
Right.
That's what this decision really means, and it's important. So let's talk a little bit about the facts. So
Well, let's
Yeah,
get
go
into
ahead.
let's get into the comparisons first. There were a lot of people running around with medical marijuana ID cards. Does that give an officer the right to search the car because he finds it in his wallet, or when he takes his wallet out, the marijuana card falls out, so I got a right to search your car? No. The fact that you're walking out of a liquor store, does that give an officer the right to detain you? Not unless you're 3 feet tall and wearing knickers. You know what I'm saying?
right.
But is it a liability to license your firearm? And I say license because they do license. To tell the government you have the firearm, to get a permit to carry the firearm. Is that now somehow a negative to us? Is exercising a constitutional right with a permit that shouldn't be had in the first place, is it a hazardous to us? Is it detrimental to our civil liberties to have a permit in my pocket that an officer can use to detain me and search my vehicle? Just a piece of paper. I'm waiting. They don't come in ones. They don't come in ones. Let it go.
Especially in this case when
I'm still
apparently,
waiting.
well, you're going to wait a long time.
Okay.
Especially in this case where the gentleman apparently did everything right. The police officer, according to the gentleman, he made an affidavit in opposition to the motion for summary judgment. In other words, the city of Waterbury filed for summary judgment. Your Honor, get rid of this case. It's not. It has no merit, and a jury shouldn't even be exposed to it. It's so meritless. So you decide it, Judge, and just throw it out. So in opposition to that, the plaintiff filed a affidavit saying, listen, I was in my car, my iPhone GPS had frozen. It's 8:34 in the evening. A police officer stops behind me. He comes up to the car yelling, give me your license, which I can tell you is completely believable, you know. And the guy has his license, gets his pistol permit from the visor, hands both of them to the officer and says, I have a handgun in the car.
You know, I don't think you have to do that, but
That's what this guy did.
But I always, to avoid the issues, I said, look, just want to let you know, I have a firearm and I have a permit. So,
I mean, this is not a situation, apparently, because I think the Waterbury police officer conceded that it's not the situation where he walked up and just happened to see a gun in the car and, of course, went berserk. You know, that's not the situation here. Apparently, the situation is this guy was very forthcoming, very calm, and as soon as he said he had a gun in the car, even though he had a pistol permit, that was reason enough for the police officer to detain him, handcuff him, hurting him. The gentleman says he was hurt, and putting him in the back seat of the cruiser until he could call the communications
okay,
center.
let's give the police and law enforcement a pat on the back for one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, devil's advocate, so to speak. I'm sure that there are individuals who possess firearms and have permits to carry those firearms that buy drugs and use drugs. It's not 100% that they're all good guys. A bad guy can get a permit, okay? So all I'm trying to say is I understand, because he knows that there's a firearm in the car, and that's what he's afraid of, not the driver. He's afraid of the firearm.
Right.
But I know people that if you have a camera in your car, they're going to do the same thing.
You know, and there were two claims in this case that the police officer didn't have a right to confront him to make a Terry stop in the first place. And then in the second place, he certainly didn't have the right to detain him based on probable cause that some kind of crime was afoot. And the judge actually ruled that there was sufficient evidence to do a Terry stop.
Shame on
to
the
approach
judge.
him.
Shame on the judge.
Well-
and I'll tell you why.
And this is before the officer knew there was a gun or anything.
A person who grew up in Philadelphia, lived the entire adult life in California, was driving home from Kennedy Airport to Connecticut for the first time. You know, they had located to Connecticut. He was driving home from Kennedy Airport the first time and got lost, okay, in the worst part of New Haven on the highway. Called me on the phone and said, Ed, what do I do? I don't know where I am. I said, look for street signs. You know, tell me what building you see. And I got her home. But what I'm saying to you is, there's a lot of people that can get into the wrong neighborhood, okay, that have nothing to do with buying drugs or anything else. My iPhone's dead. I was using GPS. I pulled off. I don't know what neighborhood I'm in. You know, yeah.
Did you read this case?
No.
Did we talk about it?
We did.
Oh yeah, because that's exactly what the police officer says, as they do in most urban, you know, well, a city is urban, but in most urban areas, they say the area is well known for prostitution, drug transactions, and other criminal activity. That's like a boilerplate phrase you just throw in everywhere. To
So is
justify
the
stuff.
United States Capitol.
Well, I'm sure the police officers in D.C. use that excuse a lot.
Yeah, and in Hartford. I believe that the minute you cross the line to go into Hartford, you're taking a risk.
But this may be and I don't know this gentleman's race, the driver who was stopped. His name's Basil Sukana. I don't know his race. It doesn't mention in here. But this may be one of the few areas where there is reverse discrimination in the enforcement of laws. Because if this is an urban area in Waterbury where people of color reside, and this gentleman was a white person in that area,
What are they doing there?
what are they doing there? They shouldn't be here. They must be here for drugs. They must be here for a prostitute. And perhaps if the person was not a white person, it's like, oh, okay, just somebody from the neighborhood hanging out. You know, we're not even going to pay attention to that. So yeah, there is a spotlight on white people when they do go in urban areas, because it's, especially at night, because they're assumed to have cleared out, you know, even if they're there during the day working, at night they clear out.
Let's
and
give it
there
a
is
name.
suspicion.
Let's give it a name.
What is it?
The out of the ordinary traffic stop.
Right.
Something is out of the ordinary. A white person in a nice car in a black neighborhood where crime, prostitution, selling drugs, and the only people that have good cars are the drug dealers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, is that what we are? Is that who we are?
Well, it definitely is boilerplate language in these kind of stops, that it's well known for prostitution, drug transactions, and other criminal activities.
And this officer,
That's a nice way to describe somebody's neighborhood.
this officer has read previous decisions
Mhm.
and knows all of the key words to put into his
Of course.
into his report to justify the arrest.
Of course.
I mean, I think I said this once. At the police academy, we were discussing or being trained in sex crimes. And they said if a male if there's a photograph of a male in a turgid state, then that can be considered pornography. Excuse me, what does turgid mean?
Mm-hmm.
Erect.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you just say hard on in the law? I mean, everybody understands that. I didn't know what turgid was. I mean, there were phrases that are used. They tell you, if you're going to do a breach of peace, always put that the accused acted violent and tumultuously.
Yeah.
You know, because those two words are in the statute.
And that the victim was annoyed and alarmed.
The victim was annoyed and alarmed. You know, officer, go back to your station, rewrite the report, and bring it back to me.
Mm-hmm. So let's get a little bit into the judge's decision. She talks about the Fourth Amendment. In response to the defendant's request for plaintiff's driver's license, plaintiff disclosed that he had a pistol in the side compartment of his door and that he possessed a license to carry the pistol. Plaintiff handed defendant his driver's license and his pistol permit.
Stop right there.
Yep.
Did he have to present or offer without question his pistol permit and the fact he carried a firearm?
That's a question people ask all the time. And
Was he required?
No.
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 But I think it's a smart move.
Yeah.
So you don't take the officer off guard. You say, look, just to let you know, I have a permit to carry a firearm and I have one in the car with me.
Mm-hmm. And the judge says at this point the stories diverge. In other words, the police officer's rendition of events differs from the plaintiff.
Always.
The driver's rendition of events. Although up to that point it's the same. The officer does admit that he did hand the pistol permit over and all that kind of stuff. So the plaintiff driver says at this point that the officer grabbed him by the shirt and attempted to drag him out of the car while his seatbelt was still fastened. And after plaintiff was unable to unfasten his seatbelt, the officer violently pushed him to the ground. And the police officer, although he doesn't explicitly dispute that he used force, he states simply the plaintiff was handcuffed and initially placed up against his vehicle.
But it didn't say how he got to be handcuffed.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I tend
No body camera.
I gotta tend to believe the operator on that one, because whenever
That's
there's
the
a
way it
gun
happens.
involved, the police just go berserk.
That's the way it happens.
Yeah.
But this is why body cameras are hated by police officers, because you can't come back and control the narrative.
So legitimate investigatory detentions like plaintiffs can ripen into arrest, which require a showing of probable cause that the individual committed a crime. That's what we were talking about before. The judge thinks because of the, do you remember the boilerplate language?
Go ahead.
Oh, I forgot it already. We got to learn this.
The high crime neighborhood.
No, well known for prostitution.
Prostitution, selling of drugs.
No.
High crime.
No, you got to get it. Well known for prostitution, drug transactions, and other criminal activity. Okay, so that mantra that the police officer included in his summary judgment motion in his affidavit was sufficient for this judge to find that it was okay to do an investigatory detention. The mere fact that this man was in an area at 8:34 p.m. at night, stopped in his motor vehicle. Nobody else was around the car, I assume, because I think if somebody was around the car, the police officer would have told us about it.
I've had this argument so many times. Before I ever did internet, I have had this situation so many times.
Mm-hmm.
Example, a black person walking on the sidewalk in front of my residential white neighborhood house at 10 o'clock at night is going to draw attention. People are going to call the police. Say, this is a stranger in the neighborhood. It's human nature.
Now, just to clarify, you do live in a very mixed community.
Right now,
So you're speaking
right now,
hypothetically.
no. When I own a single family home.
Mm-hmm.
I lived in that single family home, and it was primarily white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, I would assume. You know,
I got to tell you, I've been reading up on English history. Anglo-Saxons don't exist anymore, and they haven't for a long time.
what
Okay.
were they?
I'm trying to think. I went through a YouTube phase where this is all I watched was the history of England, and I think you know what it was. The Vikings
Right.
totally decimated the people that came up from Germany. That were the Saxons, and then the Anglos came from somewhere else. But the Vikings came in and just totally did away with them. So we don't have Anglo-Saxons anymore.
Well,
I don't know.
okay.
Nobody even knows what
All right,
they are.
Then all I'm saying is this. If I'm up at 1 o'clock in the morning, getting a glass of water, looking out my second story condo window to the parking lot, and I park my car right in front of the condo, and I see people walking in and around the cars.
And you don't recognize them because you do recognize people from.
Yeah, you
Your
know
area,
who's in
you
the
do.
neighborhood, but where'd this person come from? Okay? And I call the police. There are a group of people that will consider that racist.
Yeah, but the thing is, you would do it no matter what the race of the person was because you live in kind of an enclosed community, and if somebody is there that isn't supposed to be there, or isn't normally there, you do get concerned. So that's kind of an anomaly. A lot of people don't live in neighborhoods like that where they recognize everybody and know when somebody's there that doesn't belong.
I can. Well, okay. Go ahead. I mean, my mind
Well,
starts.
I mean-
My mind starts to float back to when I lived in Hawaii for 2 years. That had to be the melting pot. No one was the majority. Everyone was a minority. They had every race and culture on that island of Oahu that you can imagine, and to the point where I think even the Hawaiians were on par with everybody else.
I mean, with all the things that have gone on recently and have been in the news. For example, the woman in Central Park who was walking her dog off leash, and the male who was black complained because I don't like it either. When dogs are off leash, especially if you have your own dog, you don't know what's going to happen. But I guess this guy was bird watching, and complained. And she just went off on him and said she was going to call 911, say that he threatened her, and everybody would believe her because she was white, and she in fact did it. But it was caught on camera somehow. I can't remember. And then that whole term Karen came out. I don't know. I know that popularized it, which means a white woman who is complaining all the time and is racist or what. I just feel bad for people named Karen. That would suck right now, but I got to tell you, in this atmosphere that we live in now, if I saw somebody suspicious around my car or the street or everything, I would be a lot quicker to call the police if they were white than if they were black. I would try to take all measures to avoid calling the police. I would, because it would just be interpreted that way. So I'd be a lot more likely to call the police on somebody white who was suspicious than somebody who was black.
Was I with you recently? Were you with me, or was somebody else with me when the burglar alarm was going off? The car burglar alarm was going off,
I don't think so.
and we just looked at each other.
Oh, yeah,
and
that
we
was
went
us.
and we went like this. I said, Nobody responds to car burglar alarms anymore.
Well,
The burglar may run away, but nobody gives a shit
I mean-
because they all go off.
I mean, it's over property, for God's sakes. You know,
Just let them steal it.
there've been a rash of car thefts in this area. I think it's all over the country. This is going on. I mean, here in Connecticut, I don't know the law.
Easy pickings.
I don't know the law exactly, but basically, I'm just going to summarize it. If you're a juvenile and you steal a car, it's okay.
He had to have something to drive.
Yeah, nothing happens to you.
He couldn't afford driver's ed, so he got his own car and practiced himself.
I think they have some like mandatory free get together where you eat and talk and discuss things if you're caught stealing a car and you're a juvenile. I don't know. It's
Look.
something in Connecticut, but so many cars are being stolen now that even in Glastonbury, which is known as a very Tony town in Connecticut, cars are being stolen. And was it in Glastonbury where one of the homeowners ran out and got shot?
I don't know.
I think it was.
I think you're
And so
right.
now everybody's looking to revamp the laws, to readdress the laws.
Just let him take it. No.
More facts. So we already know that the judge said the investigatory stop was okay because it was legitimate, which means it's okay.
Oh my God. Oh.
Defendant conceded at the Waterbury cop conceded, or his lawyer conceded oral argument that his conduct following the initial stop and check of plaintiff's driver's license exceeded the bounds of a Terry stop. So he conceded that putting handcuffs on somebody and putting him in the back of the cruiser goes a little bit further than an investigatory stop. I don't see how he had any other choice but to concede that, right, Ed?
Might as well be honest now. You're on the stand. You're under oath.
Right. Well, he wasn't on the stand. It's summary judgment. So, based on the record read in the light most favorable to the non-moving party, that's the plaintiff operator, no reasonable police officer could have believed that he or she had probable cause to arrest plaintiff. The court denies summary judgment on the lawfulness of the de facto arrest and declines to immunize the officer on this record. So, the defendant,
Thank you, Your Honor.
in light of the uncontested fact that the plaintiff presented his pistol permit to the officer before or at the time he disclosed that he was in possession of a pistol, and the absence of any other indicia the plaintiff was otherwise violating the statute, no reasonable officer could believe probable cause was present. Okay, so I'm wondering, with regard to that language, if he had not presented his permit and the officer had seen a gun, I think the story may have been different, to tell you the truth. So really, based on this case in Connecticut, a lawyer probably should be advising people, yes, when you were stopped, show your pistol permit. Because this leaves it a little open what happens if you don't.
Wow.
And there's some other, see, there goes the phone again. Somebody is calling us. Yes, it's Eric Shaw. How can we talk to Eric Shaw?
How can we talk to Eric Shaw just like this?
Mr. Peruta, please.
Mr. Peruta, hold on. I'll get him for you. Hey, Ed, come on up and answer the phone. Okay, I'm here. Go ahead, Eric.
Hi, Rachel. Hi, Ed. How you guys doing?
Hi, Eric. So you're joining us on a Sunday, huh?
Well, according to your date chart in the front of your desk, it says August 15th, which is a Saturday.
I'll leave it to you. Leave it to you to nitpick on the smallest things. There
Well, I
we
have a
go.
complaint about my governor.
Thank
Can
you.
I make a complaint about the New York governor Cuomo here?
Oh, yeah. Give us the inside scoop straight from New York. Go ahead.
Well, he's being thrown out of office. I think he has another week. And
What?
Kathy
Okay,
Hochul-
Eric, I got to ask the question.
Here's the question.
Why an extra week? Why an extra 2 weeks? Why didn't he just walk out the door?
How dare you raise your tone to our emperor like that? He's our third-term emperor. That's why.
The thing is, when you're terminated from a job or when you leave a job, the goal is to get you out right away so you don't cover things up, you don't mess things up, you don't destroy things. I mean, everybody knows this.
One of the trademarks of a sociopath is that they try to make it look like they're working on the problems that they're creating. So, for instance, we all know that Cuomo is now a sex maniac slash possible rapist, right? We know this. He's a piece of shit. So he made every state employee in New York State take a course on sexual harassment. So when my wife goes to work every year, she has to take a class and answer questions. And basically, no one else in the country has to do this. And Cuomo set this into play probably to cover all the things that he was doing bad. This guy is a sociopath. He wrote a book with a $5 million advance payment from the publisher about the pandemic.
Yes.
He was putting all these people with COVID in nursing homes and killing them. And he got $5 million payday during COVID. There is something very wrong with this.
No.
I mean, the depths to which he has fallen since 1 year ago. I mean, maybe it's a little more than 1 year now, but I just recall him sitting there every day for hours on television. People even began to watch. Yes.
Which he won an Emmy for. He won an Emmy for this.
No, I didn't know that.
He won an Emmy for this.
Just holding court. You know, you're right, like an emperor, and everybody was hanging on to his every word. It was must-see TV, I remember reading.
Everyone in his administration is afraid of him. He was a bully. He changed the Tappan Zee Bridge back to his father's name, the Cuomo Bridge. He left us with the SAFE Act. It's the most draconian gun laws in the land. You can't even take your friend to the range and let them use your pistol in a range. Unless, listen to this, unless they're between 12 and 21, you can show someone how to use your pistol or a revolver. If you're over 21, it's a felony to take someone to the range with you in the state because of Cuomo. Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe you should have had your own permit by the time you were 21. Who knows? These are the stupidest rules ever. We weren't allowed to put more than 7 rounds in a magazine. Then it was ruled unconstitutional because most of the guns had 10 rounds in the magazine, so now it's 10. Just a horrible, horrible, horrible emperor governor. And going out like the sleaze that he is, all his friends from the past, Sheldon Silver, prison, Dean Skelos, prison, all his people who were running the state are in or have gotten out of prison now. I'm surprised he didn't go to prison, but usually they let the king go, right?
Hey, didn't I read that Sheldon Silver, that his conviction got overturned, or he's going to have a new trial or something? Right.
He is so connected, it's not funny, but they're going to get him. It's just some legal jargon because of a Supreme Court. It was a Supreme Court ruling about evidence and public employees and evidence. I'm not really familiar on it, but basically it gave him a stay of execution. He's going to prison if he's not in already. He's not getting out of it. But these they called it the 3 men in a room running the state. They called it the 3 men in a room. But look, all sleazes. Look what they did. And now this Kathy Hochul is saying, well, I had nothing to do with it. And the door was closed when he did this, and I knew nothing of it, and I'm going to be running in a year for governor. She did everything he wanted. She was his right-hand woman.
See, up here in Connecticut, we had a similar situation with Governor Rowland, right, Ed? When he left office, his Lieutenant Governor Rel took over, right?
Yeah.
But the difference here in Connecticut, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the governor and the lieutenant governor run completely separate. Do they run together or not? They do not run together, so you can end up with a governor and lieutenant governor who really don't like each other and don't even want to be there together. Is it possible to have one from one party and one from another party?
Because it's not a vice governor like a vice president.
Yeah.
It's a totally separate position of lieutenant governor.
Yeah, but I think in New York they run together, right, Eric?
I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
I think they do. I remember them campaigning together.
Yeah.
So, Eric,
I just wanted to. This explains why so many New Yorkers are taking refuge in Connecticut and Maine and New Hampshire because they can't take it anymore. The city is all smelly homeless people. It's crime. it's not the city that I knew my whole life.
Yeah, I mean, I read articles, or you see these YouTube videos, current ones where people are kind of going up and down the district in New York City, where it used to be mobbed, people walking everywhere, busy, and you have empty storefronts, you have graffiti. It looks terrible, but I never know if they're just picking out the worst aspects to make it look bad, to kind of skew the perspective.
Eric, we've got people now during the daytime that brazenly walk into a department store, grab the rack of clothes that fits them, and just walking out the front door with them.
Yeah,
during the day.
It's New York City has become a hellhole. My friend who owns a restaurant said it's just crime. Tons of homeless people. They're not doing anything about it. There's crazy people. A lot of crazy people walking around. They're not helping them. It's
Did
a disaster.
Did you ever get the chance to watch Escape from New York? I think it was called, where Staten Island, the actual island, was blocked off and everybody had to stay on it because all the criminals were there. And
no, I want to see. I heard about that. That's like 5-6 years old, right?
Maybe longer.
But it was almost like a prediction of the future. You can see that's the direction it's going. Now, while I got you on the phone, and trust me, it's a big topic, but it's something that I could have predicted 20 years ago. The president of Afghanistan has fled the country. The government has turned the presidential palace over to the Taliban. The Taliban have run, within weeks, have taken over the entire country. Now, when we went into Iraq and we went into Afghanistan, I said, we're all honoring our military personnel who are losing their lives to protect freedom in a far-off land. For nothing. 20 years from now, 10 years from now, you'll go into a store and you'll go to the clothing rack and you'll pull it out and say, shirt, made in Afghanistan. I mean, that's what happens now when I walk into a store, made in Vietnam. And I'm going, well, at least something good came of it. We left.
Well, Afghanistan's where all the heroin's coming from. So all these countries have a lot of interest. They have a lot of interest in the pop.
Right. Eric.
Well, I heard. I think I heard where, because of everything that's going on in Afghanistan now, Biden is pointing the finger at Trump.
Oh yeah.
that it's Trump's fault.
We've got a call coming from Norfolk, Virginia. When Eric hangs up, let us take the call from Virginia. You can call back anytime, Sean.
Bye, Eric. Nice hearing from you.
Thank you, bye.
Virginia, are you on the phone?
Not anymore. Call back, Virginia. And Ed, I think the Norfolk in Virginia is Norfolk. It's only up here.
What did I say? Norfolk?
Well, up here in Connecticut, we have a funny pronunciation for it. It's Norfolk. Isn't that how we say it? It sounds weird, but they do up there say it that way.
I don't know.
Okay.
Hello? Nope.
The phones.
How do we do this?
We wait till somebody
Okay,
calls
there's
back.
there's
That's
no lines
what we
open.
do. We wait.
Norfolk, Virginia?
Norfolk.
Please call.
It's Norfolk, Virginia.
Norfolk. Okay.
Okay, so where were we? Oh yeah. Biden is blaming Trump for what's going on in Afghanistan.
Trump? Now, yeah, but hold on.
And I think the reason is
but a
because
federal judge has ordered the federal government to reinstitute Trump's policies on the border.
Okay, get it.
Okay, here we go. Norfolk, Virginia. Go ahead.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, this is Summary Judgment.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah. You guys were, I think Ed hanged up or something.
Yes, he did.
Wait a minute. I hanged up nothing. I hung up. Okay, go ahead.
I wanted to ask you guys about what's happening in New York. Andrew Cuomo. I'm more right myself. But I wanted to get your reaction about Andrew Cuomo, how the Democrats in New York, they're not going forward with impeachment. They let him resign after he sexually harassed 11 women. What's your thoughts on not going forward with impeachment?
Well, let me ask you a question. If he's out of office, what's the sense in impeachment?
So he won't run again.
Well,
That's a good point, because people.
if he gets arrested for sexual
He won't.
offenses, wait a minute, and you get convicted, you're a felon and you can't run anyhow.
Yeah, is that true? Don't we have a governor in Connecticut who's a felon?
No.
The guy down in Bridgeport?
Right, but
That's a mayor.
I just find it so ironic that Trump, he was going
Yes.
out of office, and I'm a critic of Donald Trump, but I think Trump was going out of office. He had like 19 days left, and they impeached him before he was going out of office. And I think, and of course, in New York, if you impeach the New York governor, he has to step down and let the lieutenant governor.
Hold on, whoa. There's two processes here. One is the process of being impeached in the House, and the other one is being, what's the other word?
Well, the problem.
In the Senate. You get tried in the Senate.
Convicted.
You got to get convicted in the Senate. Trump got impeached in the House, but did not have to leave office because he wasn't tried in the Senate. Okay.
But
Well, no. New York is different. So
Right.
if the governor gets impeached, they have to step down and let the lieutenant governor take over.
Okay, I
immediately.
agree with you. I agree 100%. If the governor is impeached. But in order to be impeached, I think you have to have the trial.
Yeah, but I think what the caller is
I don't
saying.
know.
I think what the caller is saying is, why let him just run out of there like a rat and let him off the hook without investigating and seeing exactly what he did? Because, like our other caller from New York, Eric, brought up, what about the lieutenant governor? How involved was she? How much did she know? How much did other people know? And I think that answers the caller's question. The reason they're not going to do it is because a lot of people are going to be implicated, including the ones that would try to get him impeached, and it would backfire on them. So they're just going to let him go and hope he keeps his mouth shut and doesn't write a book about everything. That's what I think.
Well, and that's also a separate investigation we should point out as well. He got $5 million from some book that he wrote on nursing home deaths, but he killed thousands of people in New York. But yeah, I just found it ironic, and it was touching me the past few days because they rushed that Trump impeachment, got in so quickly, and he had like literally 11 days left in office. And I think if Democrats are going to be critical about the Me Too movement, and after the New York Attorney General found that he sexually harassed 11 women, I'd like to see an impeachment and a conviction. I just think it's so bizarre.
You know, now that you brought it up, I completely agree. And the Attorney General in New York, all I can say is she must be from some. She must not be one of the club, is all I can say.
The AG?
Yeah, she must have come in from another route or something like that to have done that report, or she's looking to elevate herself, you know, by doing
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
Well,
Absolutely. She ran on getting Trump, and she ran on getting Republicans locked up in court.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, go ahead.
It doesn't.
Yes.
It doesn't
She's
hurt.
She's another duck, definitely. But I just think I'd like to see. I mean, I live in New York myself, and I lived in New York for the past 3 years, and I'm a news anchor, and I'm reporting on it. And I'm like, this is absolutely crazy that someone can sexually harass 11 women, use a text as "I'll fire you if you tell anything about this," and not get impeached. But they rushed the Trump impeachment that took when he was literally going to leave office in like 11 to 2 weeks. But again, that's what Democrats do. But
Yeah.
I think it was great to see at least 95% of the Democrats in New York calling for him to resign. So I think that was some greatness.
Yeah, at that point they had little choice, but I think, you know, what you say about them going after Trump and not Cuomo, you know, I think it's all connected to what we were also talking about, Afghanistan, and Biden's the president, but somehow Trump is responsible for that. It just seems that everything always goes back to Trump, you know, and he's held
Right.
responsible
And there's
for
certain
everything.
things that Trump has done bad, and I think that's also good to note. But the Afghanistan has nothing to do with Trump, and I also wanted to ask you about that, and also ask Ed about that as well. So when we talk about Afghanistan, obviously President Biden was trying to get an achievement here. He was trying, to get troops out of 9/11. So I think this was rushed, and I'd like to see some resignation of national security advisors, because this is bad. They have taken over 19 cities in the last 11 days.
Yeah.
They took over Kabul today.
Yes, I know.
But what other way was it going to end up? It was going to end up this way
Hold on. See,
eventually
see,
anyway.
and you know, I got to get this out.
You're just withholding
I gotta
the
get this
inevitable. Yeah.
It doesn't hurt. Andrew's the governor, and Chris is the news guy on CNN, right?
Yes, his
Okay.
brother.
Correct.
His brother. Now, what I understand is Chris Cuomo's ratings and CNN's ratings are going into the toilet. Okay? Now,
Absolutely.
in Connecticut, we have a law that a government official can lose his pension for misconduct in office. I'm surprised that New York doesn't have a law that says, oh no, Mr. Cuomo, you leave your money here. In other words, if he contributed to his retirement plan, he gets to take his money with him. No interest. Principal.
He gets 50,000 pension. Yeah.
But they're saying that his pension is $50,000 a year. Now, I know people that make more than that on a pension. But what I'm saying is that $50,000 could go towards paying off victims. Andrew Cuomo should not be walking out with a pension. He should have been, and I'll tell you how it works. There was a police officer I knew that stole a bicycle. It was a found bicycle that ended up being given to his sister. The policeman went, took it, gave it to his sister. The parents came and said, "Where's the bike?" "Oh yeah, well, officer, what'd you do with the bike?" "I never saw a bike." But then they found the officer's sister riding the bike. Did you follow that?
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah, I heard.
Okay, now,
Yeah.
so they called the officer into the police chief's office and they said to him, resign or be fired and arrested. In other words, they don't want to arrest a sworn police officer wearing a badge. They'd rather arrest him when he's a civilian. Now, as far as I'm concerned, Andrew Cuomo should be doing time somewhere. Not a lengthy stay in prison. 30 days.
Well, we don't know what he did, though. Certainly, if he did things that
All right, let me rephrase.
that's the
Let
problem.
me
We don't
rephrase.
know
Right,
what he-
and you're a prosecutor, and right, and you're a prosecutor, and I think which would be better if these victims got civil lawsuits, and I think with legal analysts that says they should go forward with civil because they have to prove preponderance by the evidence that these were committed. And again, the New York Attorney General, she's just finding the findings. It's a court of opinion, but I don't know if Andrew Cuomo can actually be locked up because of this. But I think some consequences definitely need to be set. I don't think Andrew Cuomo, the governor of the largest state, should just be able to walk out and say, goodbye, I sexually harassed
You don't
11
walk
women."
out holding your head high. You walk out with your tail between your legs.
I mean, I've seen, the federal government goes after people for wire fraud, for things like that all the time that they can pretty much apply to a lot of misdoings. I find it hard to believe that, the Department of Justice or the U.S. Attorney's Office isn't investigating this. I find it hard to believe that the state, district attorney isn't investigating this.
The federal investigators, they have already dropped it. They already dropped it. I mean,
Wow.
of course, it's the Biden administration. They're not going to investigate Andrew Cuomo. But
Right.
I think Letitia James, like you mentioned, she's not going after him because she wants to go after him, Rachel. She's going after him so she could be the New York governor in 2022.
Absolutely.
Right.
You know what? And it may happen.
I would like to ask a question. Why don't you
She's
go
going after the
why don't you
NRA
go up and
too.
Take him out.
Oh,
while I talk?
I think we have a
Nope.
dog that needs
Yeah.
to go out.
Needs to go outside. Go
Oh
ahead.
no,
Get him.
somebody
All right.
else is going to address
All right,
that.
I'll answer the phone.
No, wait, we
Okay.
still have
To
the
the-
caller
to-
on
this
the
is the
line.
caller. This is the caller from New York who has the Virginia phone number. Right?
Right.
You still on?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Yep.
Would you do me a favor? What YouTube channel are you watching?
News Now Houston.
Okay. Would you please do me a favor and go over to American News Media Center and like it over there too, okay? Because we go out to several
Sure.
different channels. Now, do you have a first name in case you call back? We'll know who we're talking to.
Well, we'll know from the number.
Not from the number, we won't know his name.
Her name.
Yes, Melissa Noble.
Oh, I'm
Melissa,
sorry.
First name Melissa.
He's
Okay.
so mixed up now.
No,
The dog's running up and down.
Yeah, dog's gotta pee, gotta pee, gotta pee. It's like being 72 years old. You gotta go, you gotta go. So we're getting a call. We're getting another call. But I like what you say. Do
Yeah.
you still support Trump?
No, I don't. I'm a conservative. I'm not a Trump. I mean,
Okay, well,
after the election. lies and
I'm
stuff,
now a
I'm
conservative. I supported Donald Trump. I still support Donald Trump because I don't think he did anything that nobody else didn't do. But they just were hammering him 24/7. Now,
Well,
Biden's
some
got.
things I think Trump should be hammered on. And I don't think Trump fights that much. I mean, we lost the Senate, we lost the House. I mean, goddamn.
But I'm going to tell you, Melissa. I'm going to tell you.
Executive orders and they're trying to get these big packages, these 3.5 trillion infrastructure, liberal goodie packages in their way. So I think Trump, honestly, I mean, go man. I mean, you were okay president, but I'm not. But I think we need like Ron DeSantis or a stronger conservative and a more, not, we need more.
I
better
believe that the
conservative
money.
Trump.
I believe that the money that Washington is spending will be a very good reason for the House and the Senate to switch in 2022. I believe that the public is being quiet about it, but everybody that I talk to says, where's the money going to come from? Now, I didn't like everything Donald Trump did, but I can tell you, will you agree, Washington is not the same place since he was down there. He changed the rules. He did. He changed the rules.
I think it was honestly the same. I just think nothing moved. I transitioned to Washington sometime. The last time I've been there was like almost a year, but I think the only thing that changed in Washington was the White House, Trump being out. We still see Democrats spending their goodies and stuff like that. But of course not Biden. I think we need Ron DeSantis, or I'd say Mike Pence. I'm for Mike Pence as well. I'd like to see him run in 2024. But after the election stuff, and the Capitol attack and things like that, I think it changed Washington, it changed Trump, and it changed a lot of Republicans' minds.
Have you
It
noticed,
did. It did.
Melissa, have you noticed that Kamala Harris has kind of drifted off into the woods?
Oh yeah, we haven't heard from her.
All of a sudden, she's not on the front page all the time.
Maybe she's trying to distance herself from Biden.
Well, I think that she's going to be the power behind getting rid of him for health reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Kamala Harris realizes that if Biden is relieved of the presidency, she will become president.
Well, yeah, that's the way.
And that's an
And we're
awful...
going to have Nancy Pelosi as vice president, which would be very bad.
Wow.
I just have to say that, I saw him come down the stairs and I said, he is going to break the bubble. He's going to crack the egg. He's going to Humpty Dumpty things. Because he's different. And a lot of people are split. But a lot of things that he was talking about, I mean, I just said to Rachel,
But it is time to move
a
on.
federal judge has just ordered the federal government to re-implement Trump's border policies because of what's happening down there. There's record numbers of illegals coming across the border.
Disgusting. Yeah, it's very bad.
You know, and God,
And the media doesn't report on it. CNN, they don't even have correspondents there. They have no one there reporting on it. They mentioned it like one time yesterday, I read. But I mean, it's really bad what's happening there. And there was a leaked conversation. The immigration secretary, I don't know his name, but there was a leaked conversation of him talking to someone saying, "This is bad, man. We have to do something, or this is going to look bad."
Right.
But
we've got 9 minutes left, 9.5 minutes left. But let me see if I can interject something that I want you to think about it during the week and call back next week, and I want to discuss this. We're bringing all of these military personnel home from the Middle East. I remember coming home from Vietnam, and the unemployment lines were long with veterans that came back and got discharged. Everybody's looking to hire, but nobody's taking jobs. But let's assume we bring the military back. What do we do with them? Do we warehouse them and put them on military bases and keep them in a readiness status? I'll tell you what honest to God, right hand to God. I would put them along the southern border, and I would tell Mexico,
that's not
listen, we went into Afghanistan to tell them how to form a government and what to do. We went into Iraq, we told them how to form a government and what to do. We need to go into Mexico and say, look, you're going to pay $15 U.S. minimum wage. Everybody in your country is going to go to work, and you'll see a drain of human flesh going south across the border to get $15 an hour jobs. I believe that we need to tell the Mexican government and the Central America government, El Salvador, Guatemala, the rest of them, we need to tell them, you have to start paying a living wage down here. My wife had an aunt who got married and she wanted to move to Panama. Very inexpensive, no taxes, could buy a beautiful estate, and you could actually have Panamanians working for you almost as slaves. And here's what they were told when they came into the country. They asked, how much money do you have? Got to have enough money. And number two, if you're going to hire locals to be your maid, your cook, your driver, you can't pay them more than they get paid out in the community.
Why don't we take this caller?
Call.
She's been trying to come in. Have a good week, and we hope to hear from you.
Next
Bye-bye.
week.
I think that's a good option to put 2,000 of those troops at the border and maybe switch them around because the border crisis is crazy. Good to talk to you, bud.
Nice.
Okay, bye.
Have a good week.
Put you
Bye.
on hold, and they will be getting to you next.
Pick up the phone.
Yeah, well, go ahead and do that. Yeah.
Hello.
I think that's good.
Hello. Are we on the phone?
Oh,
Line 1.
it got hung up.
Hello. Okay. I'm not touching nothing.
Hello?
Still there, Joe? Okay, let me put you on hold while we figure out this phone situation.
What line is he on? 1 or 2?
1.
Joe, are you there? Joe, are you there?
Well, our line 1 isn't lit up.
Okay.
Only our line 2 is.
Okay, I've got you on the back phone now, but I'm going to try to transfer you up to this phone. I'm sorry about this. Let me put you back on hold.
Oh,
I don't
God.
think these two phones are connected anymore. I don't think the one.
Joe, are you there?
People could make a drinking game out of our trouble with the phones.
Red is lit up. Let's do conference call. Let's do these conferences. Joe, are you there? Joe, are you there? That says enter a phone number.
Hi.
I can hear him
Write
over
his
there.
phone number down and I'll call him.
All right, give me Give me a second here.
Joe, are you there? This is a YouTube moment.
Oh
Joe, are you there? No.
yeah. You know what? If we looked at caller ID,
Yeah, let's do that.
where's the call? I don't have my glasses on. Then look at caller ID. Is that it?
Call logs.
All right. Eleanor Rowe, 455. I think that's.
I got it.
325-864.
Write this down. Okay. Call. How do
Well,
you
well,
call?
don't
How do you,
don't
okay,
say
write
the
it down.
number on the line.
Okay, here we go. Ready?
Don't say it out loud.
Write
Ed.
it down.
I don't have a pen. This one's not working.
This is a fucking YouTube moment.
Hey, watch. Here.
Ah!
Oh.
All right, here we go.
Can you read that?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't say it out loud while you're dialing it. Do 8. Oh, well, not 8, because that's Connecticut.
All right. Gonna do
Don't say
3.
Don't say it out loud. No, you got it wrong.
Hold on.
Hey Duke. Hey Betty.
How do you? Hold on.
Hey Duke, come here.
Open up the phone.
Do you want me to do it? Hi, baby. Got 3 minutes left, Ed. Do you want me to do it?
Why isn't the phone working?
Okay, I'm gonna do it right now. You got it. Oh, you broke the phone. He broke the phone.
It's unplugged.
Yeah.
Nope, it's plugged. Okay.
Okay. Do you think we should try this next week? I think we should try it next week.
I'm pissed.
Okay, we're gonna
We
sign
gotta,
off.
we gotta make this work. Hold on.
I think we should sign off. We got 3 minutes left.
All right. I'm shutting down, Ed.
Okay.
Okay.
Everybody have a great week. We'll have this problem fixed.
I'll
maybe.
fix it. I got 7 days.
Maybe. Bye.